Welcome to Bear With Us, the podcast where two women bravely explore the High Line.
One charming town and quirky event at a time.
We're here for the people, the stories, and the small moments that make this place special.
And don't worry, zero bears.
Probably.
Welcome back to Bear With Us, the podcast from Bear Paw Development, where we share the people, places, and projects that make North Central Montana so special. I'm Sara.
And I'm Julea. Today, we're diving into a project that's not only revitalizing a vacant lot, but also bringing new energy and wellness to the community of Geraldine.
We're joined by Kalyn Joyce, president of Spire Health Incorporated. Kalyn and her team are partnering with Bear Paw Development to transform a vacant property in Geraldine into a brand new wellness center.
We'll talk with Kalyn about Spire's health mission and how this project came to be and what it means for the future of Geraldine. Kalyn, we're so glad you're here joining us today. Welcome to Bear With Us.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me.
Now, before we jump in, we have to ask, if a bear specialized in a field of medicine, what would it practice?
That is a great question. I feel like as a physical therapist, we are often regarded as physical torturists. So I feel like maybe a bear would join my career field and do well just pawing people, because that's what I feel like I do half of my day.
Eating people up?
Yeah. Beating them up.
As someone that has had to do physical therapy, I agree with that.
I imagine you don't have much anger in your life, though, if you're able to really take it out on people.
There's some days I get it all out.
Yeah. That's fair.
I like it.
So, Kalyn, if we want to start out just trying to get to know you, can you let us know your background, where you're from, what brought you to the area, things like that?
Perfect. Well, I am born and raised from Geraldine, Montana. I grew up there, was a farmer's daughter, so I grew up working on the farm from a young age, and then went away to college. I went to the University of Great Falls, then Great Falls, now it's University of Providence, and got my degree there. Then went on to get my doctoral of physical therapy out in North Dakota. And my husband and I, who had known each other since we were very small, but we reconvened and got together later on in life, and then we moved back home. So I'm back to Geraldine, moved home about 2018. So, yeah.
Now, I don't know if you know, but we are podcast divided. So we have to ask, grizz or cats?
That's fair. Well, going to University of Great Falls, I was neutral, and I had a lot of friends that played for both teams. But then I did some time and lived in Missoula for a stint. So I was originally a Grizz fan, but I have since converted.
Yes,
I am now a Bobcat fan. My husband has a strong opinion about that. So we go with the Cat games now.
Oh. I like it.
That's I almost thought I had one.
Just when you think. So how did Spire Health become involved with Geraldine and this particular project?
So growing up, the community was huge support for me as a child, with every fundraiser I did, with all of my academics, all my athletics. And so going through schooling, there's multiple projects that you would have to do. And it was always, build a business or do this or do that. And what do you want to do? And through those projects, I always wanted to, my profession, like physical therapy, but I was always I'm a health profession. So I'm always interested in health and wellness. And then I wanted to be able to give back to my community. So moving home, I grew up an athlete working out in our little tiny school gym that had next to nothing in it. And, then getting accustomed to these big gyms in the cities and being able to do any workout you would ever need and want to do. You get kind of accustomed to that. So, moving home, I wanted to have more available both for myself, but also for the kids, for the community members, everybody. And so that's when I really was I want to give back to my community and develop something that is both going to benefit the community and bring new revitalization to our community. So
that's so exciting.
The idea came from.
Wow. And for anybody that doesn't know, Geraldine is a little bit east and south of Fort Benton, kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's not an easy jaunt to get anywhere. So having something like that will be absolutely community changing. That is so exciting.
Huge. Yeah, it'll be a huge project. Currently, yeah, we're located just between the Bear's Paw Mountains and the Highwood Mountains. So we're right in the middle, closer to the Highwoods. But yeah, currently, like Fort Benton's 26 miles away, Great Falls is 75 miles away. And I drive to Great Falls for work 3 days a week. So I've
Wow.
got a little jaunt my odometer racks up pretty quick.
Empathize with you. I have an 80-mile a day commute. I drive from Frederick in, so it's 40 miles one way. Something you mentioned, and it's always been so fascinating to me as somebody who did not grow up in rural Montana. I grew up in a bigger school, but I married somebody who had I think his class had like 12 people in it or something like that. But you mentioned that you were an athlete. Was there a sport that you specialized in? Because I know like some of these smaller schools don't really cut people from their team, so it's kind of like you play everything. Whereas I was enthusiastically cut from our basketball team way back in middle school.
That's funny. Yes, our community has always prided itself on our tri-star athlete. So, meaning, you're participating in a fall, winter, and spring sport. So, I did play volleyball, basketball, and then track. Fun fact: our track team back in 2003 and four won state with four girls. So that was pretty
Wow.
huge accomplishment for us. Some of our athletes went on to compete at Bozeman, Dickinson State. I though went on from high school. My sport of choice was basketball, and I went and played basketball at University of Falls. So played 4 years there, and then had multiple injuries through that, and after school too. When I still thought I was a college athlete playing city league stuff, I had multiple injuries and surgeries of my own. So that's provided for more compassion and empathy with my patients as well.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
thing that like I did not play in college, but whenever I do like rec league volleyball, I come back just covered in bruises. And I remember I was like barely pregnant with my daughter and rec league started and I was like, I can do this. And my husband was like, you seem to think you're 16 out there. I assure you,
We forget.
you are not. So no, you cannot do this.
I don't think I could sign up for any rec league. I
You
would
can't even walk down the
I can't
stairs.
walk down the stairs. I would die immediately.
So, Kaylin, what drew you to? Was there something special about doing this project and we're going to talk more about the project here in a minute, but like a focus on bringing the services to a really rural community?
Yeah. So, growing up in a small town, I've listened to some of your guys' older podcasts, but small rural community, we've got our own set of pride, right? Like we don't want to be gobbled up by the next guy next to us or any of those other surrounding communities. And we want to show people that we're just as good as the rest of the big cities. Well, maybe not quite the same, but we have our own pride. And so I'm proudful and prideful of our community and want to show that, yes, this is something that we can accomplish and we can do, and we can have the same services available on a smaller scale, of course, than the big cities. But we want to have those same things available both to us and our.
And I know that you and I have been working together on this for a couple years, but Julia is not as as entrenched in it. Can you kind of give an overview of this project, where it started, where it's at, where we plan to be?
Yes. So it all started, like I said, I guess I told my aunt back in college that I wanted to build a gym in Geraldine. I don't totally recall that, but she reminded me recently. So um, that, like I said, has always been on my heart and my agenda is to give back and build that resource for our community. It all started, like I said, when I moved back home around 2018. I was pregnant with my son and had been commuting back and forth a little bit. But I really was like, we need to get this thing rolling, partly because I needed Jim to get back in shape after this baby. And also because I don't want to work always away and I want to have some more opportunity to work from home or close to home. And so that's when I was like, okay, I've got time. I'm home on maternity leave. Didn't actually get things started then, but the next child around in 2020, I was like, okay, things are ready to roll. I really got to get back at this. So that's when I really hit the ground running and started going after the business license and all of that. I got a board on my team, and it's kind of expanded from there. I first reached out to Paul Tuss, and he referred me to Sara, and she's been just an amazing asset to us as far as securing different funding sources for us in this adventure. Um, building a nonprofit, so it wouldn't be such a big deal had we had a building or something that we could go into, but we have this big, beautiful lot in Geraldine that's been vacant for years, and part of my, chip on my shoulder is people view it as a little nostalgia, like coming home and nothing's changed, but I wanna change that and be like, "Look at this great big beautiful building that we've built." And so Sarah's been instrumental in helping us secure funds for that. Um, and we are currently in the process of securing some brownfield cleanup dollars and then have a preliminary architectural report coming up in the next 2 weeks that Sarah helped me secure some funding for. So yeah, it's been great process going forward so far.
I think it's, so funny because with an empty lot, of course, you look at an empty lot and you go, "Oh, I'll just build a building." Nope,
Nope.
can't be
No.
that easy, right? And so, can you talk about why you can't just build this building and why you have to go through the brownfields cleanup?
Yeah, so I thought that was a great idea, the big beautiful lot, and we got it from the city for $1.
$1!
Yeah.
Wow!
However, previously on this lot, there was a old large brick building that was our post office, and in the main location where we're gonna build it was a previous grocery store. And so when I was in high school, they burnt the building and dug a hole and buried it all in there. And so now there's just a little bit uneven ground and then obviously unstable ground to build a large structure on top of. So that is where we were like, oh, well, let's pursue some help in getting this brownfield cleanup project going, which has proven to be a huge process.
Yeah.
I had no awareness of.
And it was definitely the most, like, the strangest project I had ever encountered, because I'd never had an underground brownfields project. And for those who don't know, brownfields, it's a program that can help identify any hazardous building materials at a site and then abate it so that you can, like, redevelop it. So when they did the sampling, they realized that there's asbestos in the ground. So you can't just dig it up because then it would be exposed and cause concerns, like health concerns
Mhm.
and everything. Um,
And the asbestos is from the buried
it's
building.
from the buried building. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it was a lot, like, it was a
Mhm.
decent amount.
Yeah. So there's yeah, I like 6 or 7 plots that are having to dig up, and get those contaminants out, and then also being able to build on stable ground, so having to
Right, and compact
excavate
it.
and then compact. Yep, exactly.
So, yeah, it's
Wow.
and I've had other brownfields coordinators reach out to me after hearing about this project and be like, it was just come to my attention that we have a buried site too, like, how did you do this?" And I'm like, "Well, we're still trying to do it."
Right? Navigating that process.
Because we actually had to rebid just recently. We're rebidding the actual, like, abatement work because that's something that, that happens when you work with grant funds is sometimes the bids come in and I'm like, "Well, I don't have the money to cover this, so we gotta try it again."
Yeah.
No, it's been an adventure for sure.
Yes, but it's so cool, like,
It's nice. We did have a site, walkthrough recently, and it was those people who are gonna be doing the bids, they show up and I see why a site walkthrough is maybe relevant, especially in this case, because they just are submitting bids on paper, and then they show up and they're like, "Oh, this really is just ground.
yeah.
It's just I gotta dig some holes." Like, hopefully, that's what they're like in their mind. They're like, "I just gotta dig holes."
However their minds work,
Yeah.
that's why we hire somebody else to do it, right?
Like, you just put plastic over it, dig a
Yeah.
hole, all done.
Yeah.
I'll come abate it for you. I probably know what I'm doing. Well, that'll be so exciting when it's all finished and you know that you'll have very stable ground to build on and clean. So, can you tell us about the building, what it's gonna look like, what's gonna be in it, what services you're gonna offer?
Definitely. So, we're looking at building a 6,000 square foot building, with potential in the future to add on if able. Initially, we're going to have like a large workout area with free weights, circuit machines, cardio area, as well as several group fitness classes, a spin studio, and then another studio that could be a classroom for multitude of workouts, CrossFit style or Pilates or yoga or any of those classroom style classes, and then also have rentable treatment spaces available. One designated more for physical therapy because I am hoping to work out of there at least part time. And then also we utilize that same space with massage therapy, who I've got a massage therapist on board with, and then hopefully being able to reach out and coordinate with a nutrition counseling or dietitian, potential for wellness child and adult visits in the future. Definitely setting up a better setup for a foot care clinic. Right now, we do provide some of those services out of our senior citizen center, and it's not a great setup. One of the gals actually is needing to stop because the setup's so poor, it's bothering her back. So if
Oh,
we could get some
no.
better chairs and better setup for that, and being able to provide those services that are huge for our older population, that would be awesome. So yeah, and then my, like, high hope for everything is to have, like, a sauna in the locker rooms and a hot tub, and then down the way,
Yes.
maybe ball courts or something like that, but that's all future adventures, hopefully.
That's so exciting.
And a lot of those services you mentioned, people have to travel, like you mentioned, a significant distance
Yes.
to because the closest 26 miles away, Fort Benton doesn't have all those services even.
No, no,
So
No.
so
Great Falls is kind of the hub,
yeah.
and the elderly population, or people that don't have access to reliable transportation, they're just not getting those services right now.
Yeah, they either go a long time between services or go in without, so
And it's really difficult, especially, with people that need physical therapy. You can't always sit in a car for that
yeah,
long to get
everything
to
we
those
accomplish, it's
services.
then negated on your drive home.
Exactly. Yeah, so what's the point of even going? So I'm sure a lot of people have canceled their appointments or, rescheduled for many of those reasons, so that will be an amazing help, especially where you have a lot of farmers in your community that could probably
Not kind to their
yeah, they're
bodies.
not kind to their bodies,
Yeah, I
so
hear the phrase, "I treated my body like an amusement park."
oh, yes. Yeah, and not to mention, that small town pride, I feel like that also goes into wanting to support small town, and so, you're gonna trust your local physician more than maybe someone 75 miles down the road.
Right. They get the culture and the, atmosphere of your environment, and they can relate better to your situation. Yeah.
Now, the first step in, getting this building built is we have to do the preliminary architecture report. And we've talked about that a little bit on this podcast previously, but this is a prime example of how this project really requires perseverance. Because you have to, apply for a grant to fund these reports. They were about 50 grand
Mhm.
to get one done. Um, and I don't know about you guys, but I don't necessarily have that ready to go. Um, but we tried once or twice before we got this one. Did we just try
I
once?
think we just tried once.
Yeah, we tried to it's a CDBG planning grant, and we were denied. So when I did my brief, like we've talked about, they said what Julie and I have been saying forever, "We're just not prioritizing this right now. We're prioritizing safety and infrastructure." So
Mhm.
Yep.
we had to wait, and we had
Yes,
to
it's
try
definitely
again.
been a project of perseverance for sure.
It takes a while because these grants are only open a couple times a year.
Yep. Yeah, if that, I mean, sometimes they're not open that often. That's huge, and yeah, especially like Sarah said, the things that are prioritized tend to fall within my line of work, so, while I haven't been on this project, I am, the grant administrator for the water project that is happening in Geraldine, so lots of big things. We're actually moving into phase 2 of that water project, and I am always just absolutely amazed, by the people of Geraldine and how excited they are to push through and get new things and better things, but that project was easy to get funded.
Definitely a high need.
Yeah, high need. I mean, you definitely have to have water, but, seeing this project move forward is very exciting because
But that's
it's
another
difficult.
example of how improving infrastructure in a community leads to redevelopment, leads to
100%.
new things coming in because you're able to support it.
Yeah, the opportunity for
Yeah, and you're able to show that, your community is thriving, even in these teeny, teeny, tiny communities. Um, it doesn't mean just because you're small doesn't mean that you don't exist or that everyone's
exactly,
leaving, right?
exactly.
And we want Geraldine to thrive. I love Geraldine. I think it's the
So
cutest little
cute.
I
town.
think it's a unique, quaint little town.
It
It is.
is.
And part of this CDBG planning grant is we contracted with Slate Engineering. Do you wanna talk a little bit about they're coming up for public meetings and kind of trying to engage with everybody there to get some input?
Yes, so I just met with Scott Cromwell, with Slate Construction or Architecture, excuse me, um, 2 weeks ago, and we kind of set forth like a preliminary plan for our community meeting coming up. They will be in Geraldine on November 5th and 6th, and they are planning on doing multiple site evaluations and meeting with the public and kind of looking over all of the logistics of things, evaluating, how this project will go forward, if it's going to be possible, which we all know it is because we're just thriving and striving for it. And he'll be doing all of that, those further assessments. So he's going to set up shop. Him and his team will be setting up shop at our local library, our public library, which is actually just adjacent to our building site location. So that'll be great for them to be right next door. And they'll be at the library there intermittently through the day on Wednesday from 11 to 5, and then on Thursday from 11 to 5 as well, with the community meeting taking place in the Geraldine School Library um, the evening of the 6th at 6 o'clock p.m. for the community to be involved with. So, and at that community, we kind of are hoping to be able to just provide an update to the community, report their findings, and then also I'd like to give them just an update on our progress. I get stopped at least several times a week. Where's this project at? Where are we at? How far are you at? Like, when's it opening? Well, I wish I had a better answer.
That's good though that there's so much, interest in it and that they're excited to see that. Um, Sometimes in communities, we see a lot more pushback, so if they're
Yeah,
excited, that's
got
good.
great community support. So
Good, I love to hear
to get
that.
it rolling.
And
Yeah.
I love that they're coming to do a community meeting.
Yes.
Not every firm will do that.
That's good to know.
Mm-mm.
I'm foreign to all of this process.
No, and Julia was able to, grade the
What
proposals
we
we
got.
got
Oh,
too
yes,
for
yes, I
this.
appreciate that.
Yes,
We got quite
yeah.
a few,
I
and
love
they were all
grading
so
proposals.
good.
Yeah, they were really good. We, sometimes, when we put out, RFPs, requests for proposals, you'll get 1 or 2 back, and typically, you'll see one that's just, like, outstanding, and, um, it can be quite easy sometimes to grade those proposals. On this particular project, we had to get down to the feel of the paper, on the proposals because they were that good. Every single one of them was so good that I was like, "Well, I don't like the font that they used." And that seems really silly, but, your project is lucky. I think that's very
Yeah. No,
exciting.
it's awesome to have such excitement behind and support for our team, and, that helps me be reinvigorated as well. It's been a long project already, and so I don't think there's a super near end in sight, but having that enthusiasm and support behind me is like, okay, this is why I'm doing it. We're going to keep going with this. And it's been huge. Scott and his team were super excited and just really looking forward to it. They've been huge, small rural community supporters historically with other projects. So I think it's a great asset to our team, and you guys did a great job sifting through those and picking that team.
We did not enjoy the process.
No, no, it was
It's so much
difficult.
easier when there's a
Uh-huh,
rock star one,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, a lot of the times we're like, "Did you vote for number 1? Because that was the clear winner,
Yeah,
right?" Like,
obviously.
yeah, this one we were like,
Yes.
I don't know." It was down to nitty-gritty. Well, we know how difficult it is to be a leader when it comes to these types of projects, right? Any kind of community projects, someone has to lead it, someone has to be in charge, someone has to get it off the ground. But we understand how difficult that can be. Do you have any advice for other people, whether in your community or in other small communities, just in communities in general, on getting projects off the ground? Do you have any lessons that you've learned, anything that you would do differently
That
thus
is
far?
that is a great question. Um, my advice would be settle in for the long haul because it is not as quick and seamless as a project or idea as one would think. Definitely utilize your resources available. Like I said, bear pod development is huge. huge asset for our region. Um, and every person I've talked with, I just reach out and say, "Hey, I'm Kalyn, and I'm a physical therapist, and this is not my line of work, and I have no clue what I'm doing. Please help." And there's been huge support and huge direction from everyone I've spoken with and contacted. And so, yeah, I'd say to anyone pursuing a project like this, evaluate or research your local resources. I should have known that Bearpaw would be my resource because they also assisted Geraldine with our Fresh Start Co-op grocery store. Approximately, I wanna say 8 years ago. I think they just had their 8-year anniversary, Oktoberfest this last Friday.
How
So,
Oh,
fun.
wow.
yeah, so that was a huge project Bearpaw had previously assisted with, and my husband's on that board, president of that board.
You
Small
guys are
town.
busy.
You
Fingers
gotta
are
be on
all over the place.
everything.
Yeah, so, um, but I initially reached out to Great Falls Development Authority, assuming that we were in their region, and I was quick to find out that we were not, but I've been very glad to have Bearpaw as a resource. You guys have been instrumental.
And we have such a big region.
Huge.
Yeah.
5 counties.
Yeah.
It's large.
It's a lot of driving time. So you have been so easy to work with, knowing that like most of our communication is going to be over email or Teams meetings. It's not always feasible. We have busy lives to get together to go through these. So that's been that's been great as well.
Yeah.
I like that you mentioned that your husband sits on that board. I was thinking, TriStar athlete. I feel like once you're an adult, there's gotta be a new name for that
Right?
because now you're not just a TriStar athlete, you're on every
You're a
board,
TriStar
Right,
board
you're a
member.
TriStar
every
board member,
committee.
exactly.
Yeah.
This is, later today, I have 3 different board meetings for 3 different positions.
Oh my
So there's
goodness.
my try right there.
Wow. Wow. It's just that you don't get to have fall, winter, and
Yeah,
spring.
it's just
It's
year
just
long,
all year
yeah,
long.
you don't get a shift. I get to shift different hats through the day.
Yeah, get morning, afternoon, and evening.
But that's okay, it keeps us entertained.
And it
Absolutely.
keeps the community going.
Yeah.
It
In these
does.
smaller communities, you need people like you and people that are leaders and want to see things improve and see things move forward. And that keeps you busy.
Yeah. Are you seeing that trend, with this project coming and your community getting so excited about it? Are you seeing other things, other ideas coming to Geraldine that people are like, "Well, if you can do that, I can do this."
I really hope so. Our school is in the middle of a project. We are looking at running a bond, for a bunch of improvements that we have planned. So we're looking at some change and some updating there. Um, us with our project going forward, and then, any other businesses and storefronts, I just hope that they feel a little bit more ambitious to go for it, really. And there's, like every small town, some poorly run down buildings. And so to see that there's resources available to potentially help, recover or tear down, replace those buildings, like I'm hoping that it opens some eyes and avenues too for that.
I love it.
And I think that might happen as this project becomes more visual.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We've done so much behind the scenes, but we're still in the kind of the planning stage. So once things really become something they can see, that sometimes is the catalyst to spur
The
more and more.
excitement. Yeah.
And I think even across a lot of rural Montana, there's a lot of new development going. A lot of us rural folks, we're resilient. We persevere.
Yeah.
And we
So
have to be.
we gotta be,
And we deserve nice
and we
things.
deserve nice things. We gotta update it.
Yeah.
Stay up with the future.
And, I love that you had talked about, wanting you want this wellness center for the people that are already there and, for yourself and being able to work there and be around your family more during the day. And I think that sometimes we forget that we don't need to build things to make people come to our communities. We're not necessarily wanting to become the next Bozeman or Billings or, we just want better things for the people that already live here because we deserve it and we want it and we should get it.
Exactly, exactly. And that's yeah, as in our area, we have, our existing people, and we have a lot of turnover right now, farms and ranches, their kids are moving home, so
Exciting.
they're accustomed to these things, and so to come I know how daunting it can be and I'm from the community, but how daunting it can be coming to a town with, well, what is there? And well, there's not much. There's a bar, there's a restaurant, there's a
Mhm.
store, a bank, so there are the necessities there, but as far as like what else can I do with my time and myself, there's not a whole lot. So it can be daunting, but it's great to have. I think it'll be huge for those coming home and potential new people moving in. I think it's going to be a huge asset as well. And then for those that are currently there, huge, huge asset.
I'm so excited.
I know, and especially as your water project wraps up too, just
Mhm.
seeing all the people being able to access, and
Yes.
to build on that.
Yeah, I'm hoping that, the town will be able to expand, as you guys hopefully grow, because that's always what we're hoping for, right, is growth. Even if we're not banking on it, we're hoping for it.
Right.
So, I hope that this is just the very tip, the very beginning.
Appreciate that.
So exciting.
So what's the most exciting next step that you see?
That is a good question. I think the most exciting next step is to have a new design and layout from Slate Architecture. I'm really excited to see what that team is going to be able to come up with as far as design, um, and a realistic, more comprehensive look into what the future is going to be, what we're going to have, and have that for our community to see. I think that a lot of the communities, like, and even my board, underestimated, I think, kind of the project I was proposing. But I'm like, "Oh, well, we're gonna build this gym, we're gonna have this equipment, we're gonna do this thing," and they're like, "Okay, cool, let's do it," and then I'm like, "Well, I also got a quote from an equipment company for $260,000 with 45 pieces of equipment," and they're like, "Whoa, what?"
We might need some help.
And I'm like, "No, it's like
You're
this
not
we're
just slapping up a
yeah, we're
Quantum?
not gonna, like, put up, like, 3 machines, it's, like, gonna be a whole thing, like, it's gonna be a very comprehensive, full access gym," so, I think it's gonna, I work in the Peak in Great Falls through Benefis, but I'm like, it's gonna be the Peak on small scale, so it's gonna
Big
be
junior.
yeah, there you go, Peak Junior.
Peak
Peak Junior and
Junior.
Geraldine.
I love that. Does even Fort Benton have anything remotely
No,
close?
even for Benton, they have a very small, kind of studio space with limited equipment, and you get more than, like, 2 to 3 people in there, and you feel cramped for space and accessibility to equipment, so, um,
So it's gonna serve their
yeah.
community
Yeah,
too.
we're hoping to draw people from all over, so,
And then you
our
got Square
region
Butte
yeah.
that's nearby
Fairview,
and
and then we have our sports team co-ops actually with Denton, Geyser, and Stanford. So DGSG, Denton, Geyser, Stanford, Geraldine. And so being able to serve those athletes from all those towns even and surrounding rural communities, like, they don't have access to equipment just like we don't, and they are having to drive 70 miles also. So, maybe they'll just make the 30-mile jaunt and come get a good workout in. So,
Heck
yeah,
yeah,
or
I
at least pay
would.
for services.
it's
Like, way
bus them
better.
in for conditioning
Right?
too. Yeah.
Yeah, way better than 70 miles.
Yeah.
Holy moly. I can't believe they've been doing that this long.
Right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. They travel a lot, those
Yeah.
smaller schools. Is that 6-man?
Yep, six-man football.
6-man, yeah. My husband coaches 6-man, and he just wrapped up
It's
his
a different
season, so
adventure. Everyone that's always comes out, they're like, "Oh, this is fun. This is different."
it as a I've been
And those that
watching him
are
coach
unaware, yeah.
11-man for so many years that watching it, I was like, "This is like a different
I
sport."
right? Yes.
That'll be so cool, though, and even, like, other sporting teams, in the area, they can utilize the facility as well.
That's so cool.
Well, I mean, I love that the next step is seeing the plans because there is definitely something exciting about seeing it on paper. Like, that makes it real. That makes
Mhm.
it I think it almost makes it more tangible. It's a dream in your head,
Yes.
and then when a professional puts it on paper, it's like, "Oh my goodness."
That's what I told Scott the other
We
day. It's
can
like,
build
"I've got
that.
all these ideas in my head, and I've tried to put it on paper, but it doesn't work. So here's my thoughts, and you just do your thing."
Yeah.
Make
See?
it happen. Use whatever
Yeah.
magic and sorcery you have.
When you get that picture that you can put on the board on the fence so everyone else can see the vision
Yes.
that you've been, like, stewing on. Yeah.
Well, we definitely want to encourage anybody in the Geraldine area, Fort Benton, anywhere around there to come to those public meetings.
Yes, yeah, I'm hoping that, I hope that there's a large area that it could, that people could come to and realize that it's a project for them as well.
Yeah.
Everyone's welcome. We'd love to have you, um, and just and come out.
And if
Yeah.
you don't provide your input, you can't complain if what you want's not in there. Right?
Exactly.
That's key number 1.
And I think it's a good opportunity too for anyone that has an idea of their own, whether it has to do with wellness or not. I mean, it can be completely different idea. If you have an idea that you want to see get off the ground, it's just good to attend these sorts of meetings so that you can see what the process looks like.
Right.
Because it's not linear.
It's not
No.
easy.
We've jumped around
Yeah.
from one step to another, back
Mhm.
and forth, and, we've said it once, we'll say it a million times. When you're playing with grants, you're not playing with free money.
No.
No.
There's no such thing as free money.
Mm.
So there's a lot of rules and a lot of bureaucratic things that need to go into that.
It's an adventure to get projects
Most
done.
definitely.
Unless
Creative problem solving.
unless you just have millions of dollars sitting around, you
At
have to
which
jump through these
point,
hoops.
contact Sarah Strissel at Vacant Development, because I would like you to be my new best friend. Well, Kalyn, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your vision for Geraldine's new wellness center. It really is for us. It's so inspiring to see how collaboration, creative problem solving, and just accessing resources can turn a vacant property of all things into something that's going to serve the community.
Absolutely. This project is just a great reminder of what's possible when environmental cleanup gets done. And also when community development and environmental cleanup go hand in hand. And we cannot wait to see this project come to life.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys.
Absolutely.
And thanks to everyone for tuning in to Bear With Us, podcast from Bear Pod Development, where we highlight the people, places, and projects that shape North Central Montana.
Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And if you know someone who'd love to hear this story, share it with them. And as always, thanks for bearing with us.